That's what I was getting. Go into spectate mode, mate. Oh, you are now. There we go. Right, we are getting ready, so we'll get underway and going. What do you got? Thank you, congrats on 400 subs. Thank you, thank you, thank you. But nonetheless, everyone, hello and welcome to round 3 of the OBF1 Formula 2 Championship. Last week saw the dominance of Jim, who absolutely wiped the floor with the field. A very defensive pistol as well, bunched the midfield up, and we were not robbed of a good race. Three-way fight for the podium places. Bahrain was a spectacle. We head to Spain and to the circuit de Barcelona, Catalunya for the Spanish GP. 4.6 kilometers and 16 corners will negotiate a lap of the well-beloved circuit amongst fans. With a feature race and a reverse sprint, can our guys put on a show, and can Jim be toppled? I am Zach Swanee, joined again by the brilliant Mitch. So what's in store?
Well, in the practice session before this race, we saw some Jim and H. Taylor both trading some very close times, so hopefully they're going to carry on the battles they've been having in recent weeks. So I'm looking forward to this one.
Yeah, hopefully so. I mean, it's always a good fight between those two. Just hopefully H. Taylor can give him a bit more of a run for his money. Jim was absolutely flying around Bahrain, wasn't he? Just completely wiped the floor. But we'll have to see what Catalunya brings. Completely different circuit, especially. So it's a lot more... I don't really know how to explain it. It's just very, very different. Of course, turn 1, 2 and 3 pretty much very flowing, and then you get to the middle sector and it's just more stop, start, and then the final sector, that horrible chicane, could really pose some problems. So we'll just have to see how they pose. Now coming into the one-shot qualifying session, which is very, very crucial. You really need to hook up the laps. So we'll go on board with the man who currently leads the championship, Little Jim, coming towards turn 1. Just got to maximise the engine braking, get as close to that inside curve as you can into turn 1, miss that inside curve for turn 2, and just carry as much momentum as you can through turn 3. Really long corner, just got to maximise it, have a bit of a lift going in, and then pretty much flat out. And now coming towards turn 4 to end sector 1, just going to go for an early apex, keep it tight, very nicely done from the championship leader, run it out wide, use the track, and then bring it over to the right hand side, brake just as that tower there exits your field of view, down to second gear, hold it tight to the apex, use the track on the exit, very nicely done again, and currently sits provisional pole. Taylor has actually retired from the session as Jim now comes through turn 7 and 8 and in towards 9. Flat usually in a Formula 1 car, bit of a caution brake from the championship leader just to get the car bitten in. Kimi and Taylor both out, so two massive contenders in this championship now out of qualifying, so going for that last to first challenge, which promotes Folkeski and CDM both up a couple of places as he now rounds this long right-hander. Again, just got to bite it in, bring it back for a second apex where you can just really flow through, and then into the final chicane of turn 13, 14, 15, and then into the fast right-hander of 16. Just got to keep it tight, carry much minimum speed as you can. Pretty much flat for turn 16, maybe in Formula 2 cars a bit of a lift. No, completely flat from our pole man, who's going to cross the line. It's going to be a 1:26.6, 8 tenths quicker than the man who will be joining him on the front row.
Yeah, it's a lovely lap there from Jim. Just on H. Taylor, we actually received a qualifying ban due to the contact he made with Kimi in last week's race at Bahrain, so that's why we saw him retire early. But Kimi, that was a mistake that he made. He was quite close to Jim's time as well, so him and Taylor both have to fight their way through the field together.
Very, very strange. But we'll have to see how they do. Jim, of course, on pole. Very, very dominant display. 8/10 quicker than Folkey, who'll be joining him on the front row. CDM in P3 and Hawkeye rounding off the second row. Immortal in P5. Harv in P6. Nice lap from the man who is pretty good around Abu Dhabi when it comes to Formula 2 cars. Calum Jones in P7. Hatton in P8. Ratho in P9. Gio P10. Sanchez P11. Lucifer P12. And Kieran, Pistol, Chris, Kimmy and Taylor all unable to set a time in qualifying. But as you say, very interesting to see if Kimmy and Taylor can battle their way through the field. They've got to get their way past Pistol though, and that's going to be a challenge in itself.
Yeah, it will do. It's the defensive king. He's put himself quite a way down the order, so he's going to have to do some overtaking himself to put himself into contention for some points. But again, he could be looking at that all-important 8th position to start on pole in the reverse grid. So yeah, there's going to be some interesting battling going on today, and let's see how many people can get through the field and how many people can keep it on the track.
Yeah, well, a very, very long run towards turn 1. The longest, in fact, on the calendar. You would initially say Sochi, but turn 1 is the little right kink, so it doesn't actually count. But Spain, a very, very long run towards turn 1, around about 1 kilometre long. So slipstream and it is going to play a massive, massive factor as you come down towards turn 1. It's not the heaviest of braking zones, but if you can get a car's width alongside, you should be pretty much alright as you can send it towards turn 1. So don't be surprised if we see 3rd and 4th challenged for the race lead going towards turn 1.
Yeah, and also you've got to think of turn 2 as well. It could be very easy to lose the back end, especially in the Formula 2 cars, which already are back end friendly as well. If someone tries a little bit too hard, you can see someone spinning around there nice and early.
Yeah, well, we go underway for the formation lap then. Head, of course, from Jim. He's going to be wanting to get off to a good start, get his head down as he did last week and just fly away. Let's have a look at the strategy, actually. Everyone on the grid opting for the hard compound tyre to initially start the race, with Lucifer actually opting for the soft compound tyre. So maybe is there some rain forecast? Did they want to see it out to the rain? I mean, it is looking very, very overcast.
Yeah, it does look a very dim day here in Spain at the moment. Not going to see many swans about today, are we?
No,
but, I mean, I've just had a quick look at the moment at the driver's standings as well. Jim already has a 32-point lead at the top ahead of Taylor, who's, as we say, going to have to fight himself through the field. 3rd place, we've got Folkey at the moment on 38. Kimmy's sitting in 4th on 37, so those two are close. They'll be looking to... as we see Jim's lost the back end on his formation lap.
Well, that's one way to warm the tyres up, I suppose you could say, but luckily damage is not on for the formation lap, otherwise he's just done a massive Roman Grosjean, it seems. But he's got it back going, and will still start the race on pole, hopefully, and won't repeat that in the race. But well, qualifying is one thing. Can he keep it consistent? 19 laps. Could be tricky. I mean, if he's spun on the formation lap.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely going to play on his mind now when he's exiting, especially that corner as well. Maybe he was trying to get too much heat in the tyres in the end. He's just lit up the rear end a little bit too much, but that's not the way you want to start, definitely.
No, it's definitely a big burden to carry towards the race. Confidence is a massive thing in these Formula 2 cars. You really have to know where the grip is, when you can put the throttle down, when you can do this. And if you're playing with your mind that, well, it's a bit sketchy, I don't know, can I get the throttle down? You do end up losing a lot of pace and probably overcompensating when it comes to your inbuilt traction control of your right foot. But everyone lining up onto the grid now, and Jim will just goes through them and start on pole position. Well, we've got a pretty good race ahead of us, it seems. We've got Kimmy and Taylor at the back looking to battle their way through. Pistol as well looking to get his way up the grid and then hopefully defend from that. First lap incidents aren't the most rare. I mean, turn 1 and 2 very fast flowing corners, and with everyone piling in there at very fast speeds and all alongside each other because of the slipstream, it could be a pretty hefty affair going in. But everyone's lined up on the grid now. We've got green flags being waved. We go to 5 red lights ahead of round 3. We've got 5 lights illuminating your screen. We've got a long wait, and they're still waiting, but we are underway and waiting for it.
You've got to love Cody's.
We've got to love Cody's, and we're underway finally. It's not the best of starts from the pole sitter. Folkey already looking to get alongside, but he's managed to cover him off, and further back everyone's just trying to plunge the way through. Cam Folkey challenge towards turn 1, doesn't quite look like he's going to be able to. Taylor making up some positions, Chris making up some positions, Pistol already up 2. Everyone just trying to negotiate their way through. There's a Prema around further back. It looks like Hawkeye has gone off and now plummeting towards the back of the grid, but other than that, pretty much everyone getting their way through cleanly. So not the best of starts for Hawkeye, but everyone else getting away cleanly. Luckily, let's see how many people have made up some places. Taylor already in front of Kimi, and it looks as though Jim is already trying to look to extend his lead. Half goes very wide down towards turn 4. Here comes Immortal looking on the outside. Is he going to send it to the inside? Bit of contact with the RT and the UNI Virtuosi, very, very close to contact there, but a safety car has been brought out.
Wow, yeah, that was an interesting start there. Jim was initially slow off the line, as you say. He managed to get his foot down and keep his nose ahead going to the first corner, which is everything that he wanted to do. Taylor and Kimi probably would have wanted to make up a few more places on the start with the carnage that we've had going on. Not the best to start for Hawk Pie. He finds himself 13 positions down and probably with a broken front wing, so I'm sure we'll see him diving into the pits now to get that repaired. I mean, I don't know whether any other cars are going to come into the pits at the moment. With regards to the strategy, it's a little bit early to be changing off of these hard tyres. They're going to want these to last a little bit longer, aren't they?
Yeah, probably so. I mean, the safety car, of course, if you don't know, will slow down the pack to well, the safety car speed. Of course, it's an AMG GT, but it is obviously not as quick as Formula 1 cars, so they're going to have to slow down right behind, and it does basically give you a free pit stop when it comes to that, because everyone's going so slowly and the pack is being bunched up, so you effectively can come in for free. But this early in the race, as Mitch was saying, it's probably not going to benefit you as much unless you picked up some damage, like the likes of Hawkeye, who is actually staying out. Has he managed to get away scot-free with that one? It seems maybe, but a couple of people, Sanchez in, Taylor also in, as he sustained a little bit of damage on his fight up the field.
Yeah, that's interesting to see Taylor come in. I don't know whether he can maybe get the other tyres to last to the end of the Grand Prix, but very interesting to be coming in that early. It looked like as well, Ratho was very slow into the pits. As we saw last week, the amount of cars that got a penalty, yeah, we can see here that H. Taylor's having a wing change, so he must have picked up a little bit of damage, so that's why he's coming. He's put a fresh set of harbs on, so he'll be stopping again. But yeah, as I was saying, with regards to the penalties that everyone was picking up last week, Raffo was extra careful there and came to the pits very slowly, and allowed H. Taylor to actually jump him on the pit entry.
Well, it's better to be safe than sorry when it comes to Formula 2. I mean, at least he doesn't have 5 seconds to serve, unlike Chris, who's picked himself up one for collision with Kieran Rees, I should say, not Chris. Yeah, in P10, what has happened there? I'm not entirely sure, but he's picked up 5 seconds despite being 4 places behind him. So maybe some damage he needs to pick up. I mean, the pack was already bunched up, so we should get pretty quickly underway. Should get underway pretty quickly, but still got to wait for a couple of stragglers at the front. Very close, folks, he was to the back of Jim there, and he's going to get jumped by CDM. Is he going to keep that position? He's going to get back past him, but is it a bit of a confusion? No, he's going to keep that position back past him. Hawkeye actually has just said he went head first into the wall, but somehow didn't sustain any damage, so very, very lucky for him there to get away scot-free from that one, and he's going to be lucky to try and carry these lucky stars towards the front. Towards the end of the race. I mean, he sits P13, so he hasn't even lost out that much.
Yeah, he's been very lucky there. I'm just having a quick look at Immortal at the moment as well. It looks like he has got some wing damage, but he's opted not to pit, so he's obviously thinking the long game and doesn't want to lose too many positions on track at the moment, currently running in the 6th position.
Well, maybe he's confident he can sit with it. Pistol has actually just gone into the back of Hatton and picked himself up a 5-second penalty. So maybe safety car isn't too nice to these guys. Maybe going a little bit too slowly, and everyone's just trying to sit right up the back of him. You don't actually want to sit right up the back of him until it says safety car ending, and then of course you want to be right in the back of him, ready for the restart. But right now you should probably sit a couple of car lengths behind, wouldn't you say? Yeah,
I mean, you get a 10 car length gap that you're allowed to sit within, so there's absolutely no need to sit right on somebody else's gearbox, and picking up a penalty there is, I mean, you've got nobody to blame but yourself. So, schoolboy, should we say.
Definitely a schoolboy error, but yeah, Pistol now with a 5-second penalty to contend with. Maybe some wing damage if he's gone into the back of Hatton in front. He has actually picked up a little bit to the front, I believe, right? Maybe? No, he's actually, it was just the lighting as usually just shaded that from our view, but luckily maybe just to get away from that scot-free. But yeah, still less than ideal to have to contend with that 5-second penalty. We'll have to serve it when he comes into the pits. The stop-go mechanics unable to work on the car for an extra 5 seconds after he stopped. So yeah, definitely going to be a big factor in Pistol's race. But I'm sure he's going to pull through and give us some good defending like always.
Yeah, I'm sure he will do. We've just had it from race control now that the safety car is coming in this lap. So Jim's going to be bunching the field right up, get as much warmth into his tyres as well, so he can try and get his foot down and get away from Folksy as soon as possible.
Yeah, well, he does become the effective safety car, of course, when he gets that prompt that the safety car is ending. He can control the pace, back them all the way up. It's his job to allow the safety car the gap to come into the pits, because if they all started going now, they'd go straight back into the back of the safety car, and that would be certainly less than ideal and not very safe, having Formula 2 cars trundle into the back of a poor Mercedes. But you can see he can now back up the pack. He can punch it now between now and the timing line, but he has to go at the timing line. When is he going to punch it? He can't stop, then go. He seems to have punched it now. We're back under green flag racing, and he's caught him pretty off guard, so he's got a good restart, and Fosky having to defend from CDM, who's got Harv all over his gearbox as well, as we go green once again for the Spanish Grand Prix. They're going to run 3 abreast, the second, third and fourth place runners. Here's Harv in the middle, Fosky on the inside, CDM on the outside, Calum Jones looking to get his way through around the outside, still going to be 3 abreast as they head towards turn 2. The UNO Virtuosi just going to have to concede a little bit there, and CDM's going to find himself up into the podium places and pretty much all staying stationary, even after that massive bit of a 3-wide moment.
Yeah, that's a great little bit of driving from all 3 there. Harv did the smart thing and backed out as Jim's round.
Oh,
Jim is round. Jim is round. He's in the wall. It looks like he's kept the car alive, but that is not what he needed, and that's going to be great news for H. Taylor and Kimi as they're both looking to come through the field, and he's certainly going to need to pit.
Oh no, as he sustained a bit of damage, and it's actually at the corner before that he spun on the formation lap, but Kimi now in front, and Jim on the back foot looking to get some redemption, but Fosky then, he is not complaining at all, currently leads this race then after Jim opens the bottle a little bit, maybe got a bit too confident, but definitely on the back foot, but he's still got a while to redeem himself. Kimi looking to get past Pistol, Jim looking to send it up the inside, he's got him on the outside still, but he's shown his nose, and is he going to run it down into turn 12, around the outside of 13, can he keep it pinned, keep the foot, and it looks as though Kimi's just going to hold that one and keep him on the outside, but Kim now on the back foot, he really needs to start pushing to get his way back up.
Yeah, I mean, from the way Jim's driving, he must have got away with no damage, which is the second time we've seen a car go straight into the barriers. I mean, with Hawkeye, he did pick up damage, but he didn't retire, and this time Jim's actually come away with no damage whatsoever, so he's just got to pick himself up and fight his way back through the field now.
Yeah, just got to recompose himself really quickly. He seems to be doing that already. Pistol went a little bit wide coming off turn 16. He's got Kimi on his inside, going around the outside into turn 1, down the inside into turn 2, I should say, and then the dams on the back of the ART, so a nice little 4-car train going on for P6. He goes a little bit wide, does Immortal, so Kimi gonna shoot his way back up the inside. Lucifer and Calum Jones going side by side through turn 4 as well. A very chaotic restart then, it seems. Everyone's bunched up. Can Lucifer defend? Calum looking to the inside. What is Jim doing? He's looking to get past the ART, going to send it to the inside, but Immortal's not having any of it. And yeah, Jim, he's got the pace up in front, but it's just as how well we can negotiate his way through. Down the inside into turn 7. Very bold move to make, but he's got it stuck. So yeah, he's definitely on the charge, but does not want to let Kimi out of his sights.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just thinking with that restart, maybe he just didn't...
Oh, he's done again! Oh no, he's going to pull right back into traffic. Hopefully he doesn't unghost, but that's 2 bottles in 2 laps from Jim. Is he now struggling? And he's actually now out of the contest of points, maybe you could say, as Gio goes up the inside of Raffo coming down towards turn 12 and picks himself up a 3-second penalty. But Jim really not on it then in this first race.
No, he's not. This is strange to see. I mean, Jim this week as well, we've got to say, has been promoted to an admin within the league. Maybe he's feeling the pressure. He can't perform while he's been an admin. This is really shocking to see.
It really is, as Immortal's just been sent round from a battle with Chris, sent up the inside into turn 15, never ever going to work, just been sent round, luckily managed to get it going, but he's going to be on the back foot. DRS has been enabled, so the drag reduction system will help propel them down the back straight at around about 20 kph extra, the rear wing flap opening to reduce drag, hence the name of the drag reduction system. But it's going to be interesting to see how well Jim can get his way back up the field, as Kimi has found himself up 10 and up into P6, H. Taylor up 8 as well, so both on their recovery drive, as Kimi's now lining up a move on Calum Jones for P10, and he spun himself out. Oh no, he's definitely picked up some damage, that one. That is his front right end plate gone. Just tapped the rear diffuser of Calum a little bit too much, and now he's going to be behind Chris, and it looks as though the Tyrants are not having the best of races today.
Yeah, it looks like they've either not put in enough practice for this race, or setups are just all wrong, because the way they're lighting up the rear ends, it's like they've not driven the cars before. H. Taylor's going to be the car who's feeling luckiest at the moment, even after any issues he's had early on in the race. He finds himself in 8th position now, and he's not a million miles away from the front of the grid, so he's just going to get his head down and try and work his way through the field for the next 13 laps.
very consistent driver. His H. Taylor is on the back of his teammate of Chris right in front of him, but up 9 positions, as well as Chris and Pistol both up 8 themselves. Lucifer up 9 to get himself into that podium fight. CDM also has bottled it, so maybe it's that curse if you do not want to be doing well in this race, otherwise you find yourself spinning up. But CDM lining up a move on Calum Jones then to the inside. This is the one where we saw Kimmy get sent round. He tapped the rear diffuser, but it looks as though CDM's going to get past cleanly, use the DRS assistance and up the inside into turn 1. But can Calum Jones leave him to drive around the outside? Goes for it, but can't quite convert, and going to have to sit behind as Lucifer is on the back of Harv. So quite a few little mini battles going on, little skirmishes as H. Taylor finds himself up into P7 past his teammate and on the charge after Pistol, but this is probably going to be his most difficult adversary.
Yeah, it is going to be very difficult. I mean, let's not take it away from Folksy as well, who's currently 4 seconds ahead in the lead at the moment. He's driving a brilliant race. Obviously,
the high-tech round. Chris is round, trying to go around the outside of Taylor. Sorry to butt in there, but that was a very big moment. Turn 4 is claiming a lot of casualties.
Yeah, I didn't catch that one there, but that's fine. You can cut in if anything like that does happen. I was just mentioning about Folksy getting his head down and driving well at the front, which is what he needs to do at the moment with the gap that he's got. So fair play to Folksy. Keep your head down and score some good points in this race while the other guys can't seem to keep all 4 wheels pointing in the right direction.
Exactly. He isn't necessarily the quickest when it comes to raw pace, but he's got his head down, hasn't got himself involved in anything, and is now leading the race by 4 seconds and put himself in prime position. You have to make your own luck when it comes to Formula 2 and Formula 1 and motorsport in general. So with the mistakes of the tyrants around him, he's the one that's been able to step up and take the opportunity, and he's got one hand on the trophy. Just needs to hang on then for another around about 11 laps or so. Going to be interesting to see if he can hang on. H. Taylor on the back of Pistol now. He's well within that DRS range, 7th. This is the battle for 6th, so he's in the DRS range. He's got the slipstream. He's got a long run down towards turn 1, around about 1 kilometre and a bit as they race towards Jim with the fastest lap, so definitely has the pace. Pistol to the inside. Taylor doesn't really know where to go, so going to pull to the outside last minute. Is he going to set up a cutback? Pistol goes in a little bit deep, so Taylor going to try it around the outside, keep his foot in maybe the inside of turn 3. Pistol did go a little bit off track there and managed to bring it back on, but yeah, maybe a bit of a cheeky defence from Pistol to hang on there, but Taylor's going to have to find his way through. Chris retiring from the session in the pit lane, so yeah, the first retirement, and probably just packed his bags and left after a spin at turn 4.
Yeah, it looks like he's given up there. He didn't like what was happening. As we see another defensive masterclass currently going on from Pete, but it does look like H. Taylor's trying to get himself around the outside, and it looks like he might have made the move stick here, but his Pistol's not giving up on this. But then, no, there's a little bit of contact as they come through the chicane. Pistol's now right on the gearbox of Taylor. He's probably going to have a go again in the DRS zone. He has the DRS is wide open. Jim is also behind as well, praying that one of these makes a mistake, but it looks like Pistol was too far behind and H. Taylor has got the move done.
Yeah, he's got the 2 Carlins right behind him, both hunting him down, but has Taylor got the pace to get in front of Pistol, and now crucially got the car between himself and Jim. Will there be any team orders down at Carlin? I mean, Pistol likes to defend. There's Yellow Factory set the 2. It looks as though Hatton has been sent round at the hairpin of turn 11. Big shunt then, it seems, and Lucifer is the first of the front runners to pit. He was the only one on the soft tyres, and now the first to pit, probably going to the medium tyres, I'd imagine.
Yeah, probably with that. If he's made the soft tyres last the whole 9 laps, he reckons the medium tyres should be able to get into the end. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, we see now Jim getting past Pistol pretty easily, so probably not going to fight that one too hard. The Carlin boys working together very nicely. Yellow Flash who set the 3 once again. Another retiree of Gio, I believe the debutee, retiring in his first Grand Prix with OBF1. So not the most ideal start, but he's still got another race yet to go. We'll just have to wait and see, but Jim closing on Taylor, and he's closing fast. This is a battle of 2 tyrants, and probably a very good battle shaping up. Of course, Jim was miles up in front, but a costly mistake has cost him, and Kimmy with some good pace, now setting the fastest lap.
Yeah, Kimmy could come back into this towards the end of the race. He had to pit earlier, so these 2 guys here are going to have to pit again to go to the alternative tyre. Sorry. So that could bring Kimmy back into it. It just depends what pace he'll have on the soft tyres at the end of the race.
Well, we'll just have to wait and see. Jim lining up a move, but a little bit too far back, it seems, on this particular occasion. Folksy absolutely dominating out in front. The man who's joined Jim on the front row did not flinch at the fight, and of course took it to him down towards turn 1. Couldn't quite keep it, but after the safety car restart and Jim's mistakes, he's now stretched his legs, spread his wings, and flew off. You could compare him to a swan in some respects, I should say. But yeah, just absolutely flying at the front then and completely dominating the field, pretty much in Jim style.
Yeah, he's doing a brilliant job at the moment. I mean, these two guys here are battling at the moment. We've got Taylor and Jim. They're both finding themselves 13 seconds behind him. So all he's going to want to do is these two to keep battling each other so they don't manage to try and close the gap down too much. And a consistent drive, and he'll, as you say, stretch his legs and get himself over the line.
Just needs to finish. To finish first you must finish, and he's doing a great job of that. Just needs to keep it consistent. Jim with a nice little cutback. Can he go underneath Taylor? Not quite. There's a fight for P2 going on at the front as well. It seems as though CDM and Harv back up the inside of turn 5. Is he quite going to get it? He gives him the room to CDM, but just isn't quite going to be able to convert on this occasion. And Jim now practically pushing Taylor through turn 5. Needs to get on the power. Will he replicate the move he did a few laps earlier? Down towards turn 7. Looks a little bit further back on this particular occasion, but he's got the DRS down towards what I believe to be turn 11. So we're just going to have to wait and see as he now chucks his way through the very fast right-hander. His pistol picks himself up a 3-second penalty here. He goes then with DRS. Taylor already looking to the inside. Does Jim know where to go? He's going to pull to the outside. He's going to brake late. He's got all the track to use. He's going to swoop around the outside of Taylor. Still going to run side by side. Taylor with the inside around the outside of this corner doesn't really work, but it's going to be the inside. Still going to be side by side. The two championship rivals. Has Taylor had to concede? Yes, he has, but he's looking to the inside, and he's going to have DRS back down the pit straight.
Yeah, that's some good driving from both of these guys. We have seen them come together before, but it looks like they gave each other some space there. Taylor's definitely going to be looking to attack Jim back here. It does look like Taylor's running a lower aero package than Jim, because he does look a bit quicker on the straights, because Jim did struggle to get past even with the DRS, and you can see the speed advantage that Taylor's got here. But it looks like his exit from the final corner was just a little bit too slow, and Jim's held the position down at the moment.
Yeah, he's got it now. He's yellow flags through sector 3. Another retiree, Sanchez, we've lost from the race in the pit lane as well. Taylor just needs to stay with him. This is crucial time. It's crunch time. There's a virtual safety car. Was that an on-track retirement then? Perhaps from Sanchez. It actually was. It was spinning coming out of turn 16 and has retired from the race, which has brought out a VSC, which could trigger a couple of pit stops like the one we've just seen from Kimi as he pulls himself into the pit lane.
And he's given himself a 5-second penalty. The pit lane curse strikes again. Yeah. Talking of penalties, let's have a quick look down the order at the moment. We've got Harv, who's currently got 3 seconds worth of penalties in 3rd position. Calum Jones has got 6 seconds in 4th. Pistol's picked himself up 19 seconds worth of penalties, running in 7th place at the moment, which effectively is going to put him down in about 11th or 12th. So that's not the ideal race for Pistol. Hawk Pie's got 3 seconds. Hatton's got 13 seconds. Kimi, as you just say, has picked up 5 seconds, and Kieran's got himself a 3-second penalty so far.
So penalties really costing a lot of these drivers. Just got to keep it clean, like Jim and Taylor both have done, and the top 2 have both done as well. CDM and Voski yet to pick up a penalty as well, but Taylor has stuck with Jim pretty nicely. He can have another look down towards turn 1 if he tries, but these two probably more interested in working together to catch back up to that pack of Calum and Harv and find themselves back onto the podium. Well, I just have to see, but Taylor uses a lot of curb through the final corner trying to hook up. Maybe, as you say, because he's running the lower aero, he needs to use that curb to be able to take it flat, but is it quicker? That is the question. Harv on the back of CDM and Calum Jones looking to have a slice of the cake as well, so this could turn into a 3-way fight for P2, and then with the addition of Jim and Taylor in a few moments as they try to catch up. But when are these guys going to come in pit? Are they going to leave it as late as possible for the soft tyres? Are they going to come in now? What do you reckon?
I'm not sure. I mean, do you reckon they're going to take the same strategy as well, or maybe one pit a lap after the other just to see if there's an under or overcut possibility?
Well, I mean, it definitely could work. I mean, the fresher tyres, of course, if they are stuck on these old hard tyres, the softs are going to really work. So I would predict that a soft undercut could indeed work, but you just don't want it deteriorating too far off towards the end. But it's going to have to. We're just going to have to wait and see. Maybe if you're the likes of CDM, you could come in a lap earlier.
Yeah, I mean, we saw Lucifer make his soft tyres last 9 laps, so if anyone was to box now, they definitely could make the tyres last till the end, and as you say, it could gain them that all-important time.
Exactly, every little tiny tenth counts, especially when you're in a train such as this one. Harv with a little bit of a shake, Taylor with a little bit of shake coming off the hairpin as well, and Harv has lost a little bit of time and the DRS to CDM, so he's been left completely open and completely vulnerable to Calum Jones behind. But Jim has really got himself onto the back of this fight now, pulled away from Taylor, and is absolutely flying now. It seems the consistency has come to him. He's composed himself. A little bit wide goes Calum Jones through on the exit of the penultimate corner, and this is going to allow Jim to have the DRS. Calum Jones with the DRS as well, but is it going to be enough to stop Jim, he's also been very late on the brakes. Yellow flash through sector 2. Something has happened, but more interested in this fight for P4 as Jim is looking to redeem himself under the brakes down towards turn 1. Very brave. He's going to claim the corner, leave him a little bit of room on the outside. Still going to run side by side. Calum is defending this like it's the last lap for the lead of the race, but he's got a nice little cutback. He's going to go under and then over him and then take that position away from the man who currently sits P5. Calum Jones down into P5 and maybe under pressure from H-Town in a few moments, but great driving from Jim to set up that cutback.
Yeah, he wasn't hanging around there, was he? He wanted to get that move done. He had the DRS and chucked it on the inside, trusted his braking, and he kept the car pointing in the right direction from what he hasn't done a couple of times this race so far, but definitely on the charge back towards the front. He's cut the gap down to the leader to 11 seconds from 13, but it might be too little too late for him as Folks is doing a great job out front still.
He really is, really controlling the pace, really consistency. I believe it was Jackie Stewart that once said you should win the race at the slowest pace possible. He's still flying and he's really, really being consistent, and Jim has been put on the back foot, and maybe, as you say, it is a little bit too little too late. If Jim would have just not made the mistakes, he could be right up there. But folks, yeah, picked up the pieces and are doing a great job, and Jim on for a podium now as he's on the back of Harv, looks to the inside of turn 14, but just isn't quite going to be able to convert on this particular occasion as they both peel them away into the pit. So it's going to be a 5-lap stint on the soft tyres, so they're going to be light and fast.
Yeah, it's going to be an exciting finish to the race. Hopefully we do see some more battling. Jim's going to want to get past Harv as quick as possible so he can try and chase down CDM. With the fresher tyres as well that he'll have for the extra lap, CDM's going to need to box at the end of this lap and make sure his in-lap is very quick.
Yeah, he is. I mean, he's got the deteriorated and the very worn hard compound tyres. Jim a little bit held in the pits, but it's not going to cost him a position. He's still going to be on the back of Harv, and now with the soft tyres, let's see what he can do and if he can show his true pace. But folks, yeah, at the front doesn't seem to be too challenged. CDM just needs to make sure this in-lap is quick if he is going to come into the pits this lap. Has Ratho actually swapped tyre compounds? Because if he has, he's in a very good position.
Yeah, I mean, he would be in a great position if he has swapped the tyre compounds. I didn't pay attention to his pit stop, if I'm honest. What Folksy doesn't want to do here is give himself a 5-second penalty in the pit lane. He needs to just take this easy, run it into the pit lane, nice and smooth, and get himself under that speed limit, because that'd be one way that he could allow Jim back into this race.
Yeah, exactly that. Ratho hasn't changed compounds. He started on the hards and is still on the hard, so unfortunately we'll have to pit again before the end of the race. Here's Jim looking to the inside of turn 7. Very bold move as once again from the man who is challenging for the title. He's now going to run side by side with Harv. Is he going to send it around the outside? No, he's going to try and go for another cutback with DRS. Harv goes a little bit wide. He's looking for the inside. Isn't quite going to send him the dummy and going to go run onto the outside, the right hand side, try and replicate the move he pulled on Taylor. Breaks as late as he can. Is Harv still going to show his nose on the inside? And that is Jim up into P4. A great bit of driving once again. He really sends it in the most unorthodox of places.
Yeah, he's got a lot of bottle. It's very Danny Ricciardo-esque, isn't it? The way he just chucks it into a corner and trusts everything he's got underneath him. So yeah, he's definitely on the charge now, as the next car up the road is going to be Raffo, which is 8 seconds up the road. But as you say, Raffo is going to need to pit again. So it's going to be CDM that he'll be looking to catch next.
Yeah, I mean, he's got 15 of 19, so, I mean, the gap is coming down. CDM didn't have the best of in-laps, it seems, as Jim is already onto the back of him, so maybe even going to redeem himself up to P2, but folks, yeah, clean pit stop, 9.3 seconds is the gap. It's going to be hard for Jim to bring that down, but Taylor completely swamped down in P5 and 4 seconds off the likes of Harv, so Jim has really sliced his way through this little pack like butter.
Yeah, he has. He's done very well. He's only going to be looking to try and extend his lead at the top of the table as well. So if he does get past CDM, finishing in second after the race he's had, it's a brilliant result. He's spun twice and managed to fight his way back through the field. So he's going to be very happy with second place if he can manage to get it.
Definitely, Jim picks himself up a 3-second time penalty, though, that CDM doesn't have. Yellow flash who set the 3, I believe that's Kieran Rees having a little bit of an off. But yeah, Jim picking up a 3-second time penalty. Can he clear CDM and then get the 3-second gap? I mean, he's got a couple of laps to do it. We'll have to wait and see. This is the fight for reverse grid pole. Currently is Pistol, but Hawkpie is right behind him and really showing some good pace. And Hawkpie is going to be wanting to get this after his earlier spin. And if he can start the next race on pole position, that's probably as best as you can ask.
Yeah, it is. We've got to take penalties into consideration as well, where it looks like Pistol's going to drop right down the order, and so is Calum with both of their penalties. But Hawkpie and Ratho, with Hawkpie's 3-second penalty, they're pretty much neck and neck on the track at the moment. So Hawkpie's going to want to get past Pistol, and so he gets himself into some clean air, so he can try and build a little bit of a gap to Ratho, and then he'll have the 8th place start.
Yeah, exactly that. I mean, hopefully for his sake that he can do it. 2.6 seconds is the gap between Rafa and Hawkeye on slightly fresher soft tyres. A couple of important moves. Taylor has managed to get himself past Harv despite being 4 seconds behind, maybe a bit of a mistake from the Unai Virtuosi, and Jim has got himself past CDM. His job now is to pull a 3-second gap between himself and the man in P3. Have to see how he can do, but no more people for him to overtake, it seems. Kieran Rees has had another off coming off turn 16, which is certainly less than ideal. A little bit of a battle going on here. It looks like Kimmy's got himself past Hatton, who I believe is now the one who's actually spun. My apologies. And CDM has picked himself up a 3-second time penalty, so it wouldn't even matter if Jim can pull 3 seconds, but interesting to see how much he can gain on the leader.
Yeah, I don't think he's about to close that gap down in the 3 laps that we've got remaining. But with CDM picking up that penalty and Harv currently running, sorry, not Harv, H Taylor currently running with no penalties, it's a 6.4 second gap. But I mean, with Taylor seeing that penalty pop up on his screen, he's going to want to try and get his head down and close that gap down as best as possible, give himself a chance at a podium.
Exactly that, and any mistakes from CDM can see him get another penalty or whatever it might be, and then Taylor will definitely be licking his lips. But still a fight. Hawkeye looking to the inside, very deep under brakes. This is a bit of a pointless battle because Pistol has so big a penalty. Jim with the fastest lap of the race, completely smashing what Kimmy sent earlier in the Grand Prix, probably a few laps ago, probably around the lap 11 mark. But lap 17 of 19, we are coming towards the closing stages. Don't forget, we have got the top 8 reversed sprint race left to go, and CDM has actually respectfully stayed with Jim a little bit. He actually hasn't pulled away too much. Has the DRS had a massive say in that?
Yeah, it's probably dragged him along the track a little bit, and he'll have Jim to thank for that, for giving him that little tow along the straights, as the gap now to H Taylor's 7.4 seconds. So it doesn't look like CDM's penalty is going to cause him any issues. I'm just running on board with Ratho at the moment, who's caught up that 3-second gap that he had. He's right on the back of Hawkpie now, so the battle in between Hawkpie and Pistol really has slowed them both down and allowed Ratho to catch up to try and make a move on Hawkpie.
Yeah, this is the fight for a very good position for the second race. Pistol picking himself up another penalty. That's a bit of a mouthful. Pistol picking himself up another penalty. A lot of P's going on there. But Raffo and Hawkpie, these are probably two people that want to get past Pistol. Hawkpie especially, to get that car in between himself and the man behind him so he can try and pull a gap or so. 2.5 laps left to go, and a bit of a mistake from Pistol gives Hawkpie a little look. But Raffo is going to be looking to get himself past and maybe make the most of any opportunity. Follow Hawkpie through whatever it might be. He's got the DRS. He is closing on Hawkpie, who's now having to look in his mirrors. Probably in the worst position of the bunch. Ratho looking to the inside. They're both going to look to the inside. 3 abreast at a little bit of a glimpse, but yeah, Hawkpie tried to get up the inside of Pistol. Raffo tried to get up the inside of Hawkpie. That was never going to work, and Raffo picks himself up a 3-second penalty. So it is now between these two on track. Pistol goes very wide. Hawkpie looks at the inside, just can't quite find a way through. Pistol is quick enough where he needs to be quick enough. Yeah,
Raffo's going to be gutted with that there, because he pulled out of the move to actually miss Hawkpie, and in process of doing so picked up a 3-second penalty, which effectively then actually puts him behind Hawkpie on the track. Whereas if he'd just stayed behind and stayed with him, he'd have got the move made after the final lap and the checkered flag.
Yeah, but here he goes then towards turn 1. This is now a battle on track. They are equal on penalties, and onto the penultimate lap. This is the fight for reverse grid pole. Hawkeye's going to want to hang on to that, because if he doesn't, he's going to be starting from P9. Yellow Flash, who's sector 1 or 2. But we did see Pistol come into the pit lane. Interesting strategy choice from him. You should think that he'd have just gotten to the end. Maybe he's going for a fastest lap attempt or something. But yeah, definitely going to plummet him down towards the back of the order. And Lucifer on the back of Harv as well. And he's on the hard compound tyres. Is Harv not enjoying this soft stint very much?
Yeah, maybe not. I mean, we did think Lucifer would be slower on these hard tyres towards the end, but maybe the soft tyres of Harv have given up a little bit, and now the changeover's happened and the hard tyres are actually quicker. It does look like Harv is struggling to keep that car from sliding out around the corner, so maybe that is the case, and Lucifer will be trying to keep himself right behind Harv and get the DRS to check him past up the straight.
Yeah, we are now on to the final lap. Well, folks, he is on the final lap. Jim has actually closed up quite tremendously in the last couple of laps, a few seconds or so. Raffo trying desperately to get past Hawkeye, but he's not giving this up easily. Going to look to the inside of turn 13, going to absolutely send it. Hawkeye going to give him the space, but go cleanly back around the outside. Very nicely done, and Lucifer going to look to get past Harv, but Harv just using enough of the track and getting enough speed down the straight. Where is Fotsky on track, coming through turn 5 on the final lap. Everyone now onto the final lap. Here comes Rafa, then he's going to have the best chance he's had all race in the slipstream in the DRS. Pulls to the inside, surely going to get this done, but he's not quite got the overspeed he'd have liked. Maybe Hawkeye can send it around the outside, bait him into a cutback, whatever it might be. He is going to look to try and go over and under him. Maybe a cutback, triple cutback, maybe if he can send him deep into turn 3, but he's going to try and stay with him and maybe go for the DRS down towards turn 10.
Yeah, there was no triple, quadruple or quintuple cutback there, was there, for Hawkeye, so he's going to have to look to try and get back into the, sorry, not back into, stay in the DRS and try and get past on the DRS straight here on the last lap.
He's going to have to hope and pray, but we have now got the man who has completely dominated. He's made his own luck. He started on the front row. He's converted it to a victory. Fotsky comes across the line. He's going to become a race winner in the Campos car, wins the Spanish feature race. And, well, Jim, through valiant efforts, a couple of spins definitely cost him a lot there, and he comes home in P2 with CDM coming home. A nice P3, H. Taylor a little bit further back in P4, but has anything kicked off? Hawkeye with a bit of contact to Ratho then as they come towards turn 10. Definitely less than ideal, but it looks like his opportunity is now running off, so he may have lost that reverse grid pole to Raffo, who's managed to pinch it on the final lap.
Yeah, we see a 10-second penalty for Kieran Rees in 14th position. I don't know what he's done there, but maybe he's just he's given up on actually racing the track. He's making up his own racing line now.
Well, maybe just some experimenting. I mean, can't get much worse than the circuit layout it already is, so maybe he's trying to make some more and do some experimenting. But Calum Jones actually manages to finish on reverse grid pole after penalty, so Ratho is going to finish ahead in this race, pick himself up an extra couple of points, but he's shown some great race in those later stages, so maybe he could find himself on a good show for the sprint race. 19 laps done, and that's the feature race done and dusted. This is where the main points are scored, but don't leave just yet. The top 8 are going to be reversed, so Calum Jones on pole and Fotsky down in 8th place.
Yeah, Fotsky's going to want to make sure that he keeps himself out of trouble and try and get himself back towards the front and see if he can replicate this drive in the second race, because it was a brilliant level of concentration that he kept during this race to bring that home in first position.
Yeah, exactly that. H. Taylor picking himself up, the driver of the day. Did gain a lot of positions in that race. Him and Kimmy both driving absolutely fantastically. But now they celebrate the champagne for the feature race, and then we'll go to the reverse grid sprint race, the Campos race, and then Stefan on top of the podium and claims a very, very well deserved victory. You have to make your own luck in motorsport, and he's done exactly that. Drove well, kept it consistent, and it takes the win ahead of Jim, and CDM rounds off the top 3. Taylor from 17th to finish 4th with Lucifer in P5. Half-stay station in P6 with Raffo just behind in P7, and Calum Jones finishing in P8 for the reverse grid pole position. Hawkeye in P9 just missing out on that, unfortunately. Kimmy in P10, F1 Immortal in P11, Hatton P12, Pistol P13, Kieran in P14, but Sanchez, Gio and Chris all DNFing from this race, so they'll be starting at the back. Be interesting to see what they can do, but we're going to have to see. I mean, Jim is going to be starting from 7th place. How quickly can he cut his way through the field? And he's got Taylor right in front of him as well. Will Taylor maybe have a bit of a ding-dong battle with him?
Yeah, I mean, maybe. I mean, we saw Jim make his mistakes when he wasn't actually under any pressure as well, which was strange to see from someone who's usually so calm and composed with his driving. So now he's got some overtakes to do. I mean, maybe he's just a little bit more used to the track now, and as you say, he sort of rubbed himself in onto the track. But yeah, it was interesting to see him spin out, and he's definitely got some work to do in the second race coming from 7th.
Exactly that. I mean, we saw him spin out on the formation lap. Did that foreshadow the preceding events? Maybe so. He didn't actually spin at turn 5. It was always at turn 4. But interesting enough, well, he did definitely acclimatise himself and put in some consistent laps towards the end of the race. So maybe he's a little bit more worn in. Maybe the cold tyres don't like him as much. He doesn't fare off the restarts. And Pete has just asked if you can check the damage settings, please, if you've maybe put it on reduced or whatever it might be. I mean, it looks like it was pretty fair. Maybe just some people got a little bit lucky and rubbed against the wall rather than going underneath it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that I put it on full. That's the setting that he told me to put it on anyway. So obviously I can't check it at the moment because we're in the session. It goes straight from one race to the other. So if it is on reduced, that's my bad, but I think it is on full.
Fingers crossed. I mean, 13 laps now ahead of us. Probably, actually, one of the shorter sprint races. I mean, we saw Bahrain have only 2 laps left than the feature race in the sprint, but this one's got 6. So Catalunya is going to be significantly shorter, but still 13 laps. It's a long way for them to go. Calum Jones on pole position ahead of Raffo, then who's going to join him on the front row. Raffo had some incredible pace towards the end of the feature race. We'll have to see what he can do. Harv and Lucifer both with some good pace. H. Taylor usually very quick, but wasn't quite so towards the end. They're all on the hard tyres and probably comfortably to the end of the race. CDM in P6 with Jim in P7. The last race winner of Foski in P8. Let's see if he can carry this momentum forward and then maybe pick himself up a couple more, maybe pick up the champagne once more. We'll have to wait and see. Hawkeye in P9, Kimmy P10, F1 Immortal in P11, Hat in P12, Pistol P13, Kieran in P14, Sanchez, Gio, Chris and Ghost, who's going to be joining us for the second race of the night. So have to see what he can do from the back of the grid. Any experiences? Do you think he can do anything from the back?
I think he's actually a new driver to the league as well. I've not seen what pace he's got, but he's going to look to want to make a good impression and definitely drive his way through the field.
What a way to kick off the career then, with a nice little sprint through in a Formula 2 car. So have to wait what he can do. It's the greatest way to prove what you can do, to cut your way through cleanly. He's got 13 laps to prove at what he could do, and Calum Jones and Ratho both going to look punchy. Both actually had some pretty good pace and could defend from Foski and Jim a little bit in the previous race. So we'll have to see how.
Yeah, there was no swanning around there, was there? They got the job done. So let's see if they can do it in the second race.
No, not at all swanning around. So will Jim spread his wings? Will he just absolutely send it under the brakes like he's been doing pretty much all of tonight? It's a long run. He's got the slipstream. He's got the people in front of him. Will he just completely and utterly send out the inside?
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting start. Does he play the long game? We saw his pace towards the end of that first race. He did manage to get his head down and got the fastest lap as well. So there's no point in taking the risk and trying to make the move too early and either getting some damage or ended up facing the wrong way again.
Exactly that. But now here we go. Are we going to 5 red lights for real? They're not revving up their cars, so I wouldn't imagine so. So we're not underway. We're still going to wait for them to start revving up their car. It doesn't look as though there's a couple of jump starts actually. They've gone, but they haven't gone. They're now revving up their cars. Is Calum Jones. Drive-through penalty for Foski. He's already jumped start. We're underway and racing though for the sprint race, and a great start for Lucifer. Already pulls himself to the inside, and the same with H. Taylor. They're going to run 3 abreast on the run down towards turn 1, but Chris with a great start, I believe. No, that's just him jump start, and Raffo just trying to hold station in P2. Around the outside goes H. Taylor, who's going to keep Raffo or Lucifer pinned on the inside. Everyone's just trying to funnel their way through. Has Jim made up any positions? No, he hasn't. He's still got Harv right behind him, and Foski has actually plummeted towards the back of the grid, so everyone's trying to negotiate their way through for the start of the second race. Is that CDM looking to the inside? Yes, it is. He's going to dart to the inside, but nearly so close to contact. Was he there? So close. Yellow flash reset to 2, though there has been a spinner of Foski, so the last race winner has actually found himself plummeting towards the back of the grid, so hasn't managed to carry this momentum forward.
Yeah, it's been a nightmare start for Foxy. He jump started to kick it off, and then he finds himself span around and 6 seconds off the back, so all he can hope for now is a safety car maybe to pull himself back into it, but with the penalty he's got as well, it's not a race to remember for him, as we've got a virtual safety car.
Yeah, a virtual safety car being brought out probably for some debris on the track, but Foski had such a good race last race out. Literally just a couple of minutes ago, but hasn't managed to carry that forward. Maybe the adrenaline pumping a little bit too much and got a bit excited off the start. Got a drive through. Of course, he has to serve that under green flag conditions, so going to have to wait until the restart before he can actually serve that. But a couple of people up in front that are actually glitched out AIs and still continuing with no repercussions, so they haven't actually been given a drive through, which is very strange in and of itself. But we are under yellow flags, and hopefully going to be underway and racing pretty soon. Have a quick look at the position changes. So Jim is up 2. We are back under green flag racing. Hawkeye picks himself up a drive through penalty as we go green once again, but Jim on the back of Taylor. Then these two are meeting themselves on the track once more. Here comes Luther looking to get himself up the inside of Jim and Taylor as well. We sent it completely under brakes. He spanned himself off. Luckily no damage to the UNI Virtuosi. Oh no, Jim's been involved in it. A big crash off the restart. Jim has been spun off. Don't know what Lucifer was doing there, and then a UNI Virtuosi of Harv, I believe, tried to send up the inside, picked himself up for some damage as well. What happened there?
I don't know what happened there, but it just looks like someone's broke too late and they've all come together. Too many cars don't fit into that gap there, and it looks like Jim and Lucifer both have paid the price there. Looks like they've both got some front wing damage. This is not what Jim would have wanted. 2 races in a row where he's, not by his own fault this time, but he's been involved in an incident.
Definitely not a week to remember, but he's won at 4 comeback drives, still early on the race. Rather it happen now than on lap 12, but you can't do much about it. So we'll have to see the 2 teammates at Trident of CDM and Rafa. Rafa, of course, started on the front row, hasn't managed to actually gain any places. He's lost 3, 2 of which can be attributed towards the 2 jump starters, but nonetheless, he just needs to settle in, get himself into a rhythm as well. And there's another spinner. CDM has gone round into turn 12, so the Trident gone round, and that's going to lift his shoulder a little bit. Is that another spinner? Harvest spun a lot of bottle lids open then in the opening laps.
Yeah, it's must just be that there's no pace in the tyres yet, and everyone's no pace, no heat in the tyres, and everyone's trying a little bit too hard in battling and just lighting up the rears and spinning round. So yeah, not ideal for Harv there.
No, really not at all. So a lot of bottle lids open, but CDM needing to recompose himself. DRS has been enabled. We've started lap 3, so the drag reduction system will be enabled this lap. A big group of cars for around about the P12 mark, but the 2 guys up in front in AI mode are absolutely flying, really dominating this race, really consistent, hitting every apex, no mistakes from the AI, driving absolutely brilliantly. But Calum Jones is closing up, so hopefully we'll just ghost his way through, and he's got H. Taylor right behind him. Could Taylor then go for the race win?
Yeah, Taylor's going to want to get the win here. After seeing what's happened to Jim and the way that Jim's been driving recently, he's definitely going to want to get the full points here in this sprint race. We've just seen Hawkeye retire from the session as well, who was running down in 14th position. So I'm not quite sure what happened there. I think it might have been in the pits actually. As Pistols also retired as well.
Interestingly enough, Calum Jones trying to get up the inside of a ghosted car is going to compromise him a little bit and allow Taylor to close up. He's just going to naturally drive straight through, no questions asked whatsoever. Very nicely done, and he's now onto the back. Calum Jones and with the DRS could have another look back at him. We've got Harv as well getting himself back up and having a little bit of a tussle with Jim as there's a Campos. Kieran Rees very sideways, nearly coming onto the track and hitting them, but Jim just going to claim this position on this occasion. But Taylor all over the back of Calum then. This is the fight for P2, needs to get this move done quickly. This is basically for the fight for the race lead. Taylor with the fastest lap of 1:30.9 on heavy fuel and hard tyres, going to squeeze him all the way to the inside. Calum Jones trying to keep him pinned. They're all going to go back over to the left hand side to try open the corner, and that is Taylor cleanly up into P2 and showing some pretty good pace at the disfortune of his championship rival. But you have to pick up the paces and you have to make your own luck when it comes to motorsport.
Yeah, it looks like Jim struggled out that final corner there as well with the wing damage that he's got. He actually understeered off and hit the gravel slightly, and Harv managed to get himself past, but also in doing so Harv picked up himself a penalty, so he's going to want to try and use his wing advantage that he's got over Jim and drive away, as we see Folksy put in the fastest lap. So he's got pace, he's just too far behind for it to matter.
Yeah, exactly that. 20 seconds off, but if he can carry those tires to the end, actually not many people are actually going to make a pit stop in this race, so he's going to stay around that mark. But around the outside goes Sanchez, tries to keep the foot in maybe for P11, just about going to have to miss out on this one. But already a massive field spread on lap 4, and they are spreading out and really fanning out. Social distancing in Spain, but we'll have to see. Maybe Jim or Harv can close the gap a little bit, as Harv actually finds himself in front of Jim once again. Has Jim got any front wing damage? It looks as though he has sustained a little bit, so driving pretty much with one hand tied behind his back.
Yeah, I think he did pick up that damage in that first corner collision, so where him and I think Lucifer also picked up some damage. So it looks like Jim is dealing with it a little bit better, as Lucifer has dropped behind some, but it's not going to help him getting his way back up the field. You see H. Taylor put in another fastest lap of a 1:30.3, so not as quick as we saw in the first race, but obviously that was on the soft tyres. But yeah, as Jim's now diving into the pits, so he's had enough of driving without that rear wing fix. He's probably going to put some soft tyres on and see what he can claw back after this stop.
Yeah, well, he's definitely won 4 redemption drives and recovery drive. Here's Harv back up in front of CDM and up into the top 7. Very nicely done. Calum Jones actually giving H. Taylor a run for his money. Managed to stick with the tow. A couple of yellow flags going on. Maybe that is Kimmy actually going to retire from the session, and Jim as well going to give up on this session. So already 4 retirements, and we're only on at lap 5. So a lot of people not finding it very kind when it comes to this reverse grid sprint race. But luckily no full course yellow, so no safety car. But is that what we need to spice things up?
Yeah, I mean, a safety car would bunch everybody back up again. It's probably not, well, saying that, H. Taylor has got himself past Calum. Calum is holding on behind at the moment, but it's not what H. Taylor would want if everybody did bunch back up again, because you've got Raffos about 6 seconds back down the road. So it's a 2-horse race at the front at the moment. Both of those won't want a safety car, but I'm guessing everybody else will want it, so try and get themselves back into the fight.
Yeah, well, only time will tell. Taylor doing a great job up in front, Harv a little bit deep down towards turn 10, and CDM just quite going to miss out on this opportunity. Raffo closing up onto the back of Gio, so going to find himself onto the podium very soon, so maybe he can do that as CDM runs side by side with Harv up the inside. Harv going to keep it to the outside, back up the inside of turn 14, but it looks as though CDM's going to claim the corner. Where's the detection point? Here it is. So Harv tried to get the switch back, but he's going to have the DRS down towards turn 1. He's got the drag reduction system open, the rear wing open. This is only for P7, but still a great fight nonetheless. Here comes Harv then to the inside. CDM not going to defend too hard, maybe confident in his brakes around the outside, but Harv going to claim the racing line well before the corner, and that is him up into P7. But a nice little skirmish going on. CDM trying to set up a little bit of a move back up the inside, maybe looks to the inside, rides over the curb to set it up, but can't quite convert, and this is the closest battle on track. Harv to the inside, CDM to the outside. Can he get it around the outside of turn 4? Going to try and bait Harv in deep, goes straight back underneath, and very nicely done from CDM. Has he cleanly got himself ahead? Is Harv going to look to the inside? Yes, he is. Still going to run side by side, but is CDM going to be able to run the corner nicely? Harv looking to the inside. He hasn't quite got the traction on the outside though, so a very nice bit of racing from these two.
Yeah, CDM set Harv up nicely there, didn't he? He let him go in deep and swung back underneath, knowing that he'd be able to get the better run into the next corner as well. So he's got himself back past, but I'm sure this isn't the end of the battle that we see here. I mean, with this DRS, we saw the absolute advantage that Harv had over CDM down the start-finish line. So Harv's just going to make sure he gets himself a nice exit out of the final corner and do the same as he did last lap.
Exactly that, deja vu you could say, but we'll have to wait and see. I mean, he is looking a little bit far back, maybe he just needs to hook up turn 13, 14, 15 and 16 and should be okay. They are closing onto the back of F1 Immortal, so maybe might want to work together a little bit, but Harv and CDM do quite like having a bit of skirmish, as it seems, for the last couple of laps or so. DRS is open, but he is a little bit far back. Has he got the speed? He's not closing quite enough. Is CDM going to hold this one then, as Lucifer is onto the back of Sanchez as well just before DRS opens? He's going to pull to the inside. He's not quite got a lot of overspeed, but he's got the DRS and all the way to the right hand side. He doesn't even try to open up the corner, now bringing it back over to the left to open it back up. Is Sanchez going to try and set up a cutback? No, Foski with the fastest lap though, so definitely has got the pace, has the feature race winner, but just got caught up, it seems.
Yeah, he's the one who's been praying for a safety car the most, so he can close that 10-second gap up that he's got to the cars in front of him. But with 6 laps to go, there's not the most amount of close running at the moment, so it's probably going to take a personal mistake for a safety car to come out. I mean, the only 2 cars that we've got close to each other, you say, at the moment is Harv and CDM. So, but it also looks like CDM's actually closed right up to the back of F1 Immortal and has got himself past. So, correct myself there, but CDM's got himself past F1 Immortal. He's up into 5th position.
He is indeed. He's up into 5th position. No idea where that came from. There is Ghost retiring in the pit lane, so the debutee having to retire. No full Courcello as it is in the pit lane, but CDM with some great pace and now has the car between himself and Harv, and Taylor goes even quicker, a 1:30 dead.
Yeah, it's a nice lap there that he's pumped in. So he's got some pace on the track, and he's just going to want to keep driving out as much speed as he can.
Indeed, here comes Harv with DRS looking to the inside of F1 Immortal. Should be a pretty plain sailing move to get himself into the top 6 with a penalty though, so he is going to have to pull the gap and try and close back up to CDM in front, who's now getting himself back past Gio, who says actually is driving him a really nice race already, only down into P5 considering he jumped the start, so great stuff. And CDM back up into P4 after his earlier spin, but his teammate 6 seconds up the road, now onto the back of no, he's lapping the ghosted car of Hatton, I believe. So won't be finding himself up another position. F1 and also getting himself up into P6. Yellow flags 3 sector 2. It looks as though Hatton has had a bit of an off and is going to retire from the session. On track though, this could bring out a full course yellow.
Yeah, maybe it will bring out the full course yellow. I don't know whether, because the car wasn't actually damaged, the AI might just take over and bring that back to the pits. So we might get away with that one there. So folks, he had his fingers crossed, but it doesn't look like it's been delivered for him.
No, not quite. It's just going to pull over, and yeah, as you say, probably just going to be the AI driving it to the escape road, but not too much going on in terms of action on track. We've got Lucifer on the back of Sanchez still. It looks as though Sanchez managed to get himself back past Lucifer, and the fight for the final points playing position. Well, if Lucifer can get past, he can double his points total, and Sanchez will halve his if he doesn't stay. And Raffo is into the pit lane. Has picked himself up a 5-second time penalty as he goes in as well, so he was looking good for a podium. Does he know that you don't need to pit? Yellow flash reset to 3. Kieran again.
Calum Jones has picked up a 3-second penalty as well, but H. Taylor has pulled away from him. So, we've got CDM is currently sitting about 6 seconds behind, 7 seconds behind. So he's going to want to close up a little bit to maybe get past Calum with that penalty. But yeah, strange move from Raffo coming into the pits there and picking himself up a penalty in the process.
Yeah, not the most ideal way to do things. Not sure what enticed that pit stop. Maybe he was unsure of the fact you don't have to pit for the sprint races, but down into P10 after on for the podium at least. But now he's promoted his teammate up into P3, and no real close fights going on. The closest gap, of course, is Lucifer with Sanchez, but he's fallen off a little bit. But maybe
it looks like we've got Folkesy's going on to the back of Raffo at the moment. Obviously, Raffo's going to have the fresher tyres, so this might be a tough move for Folkesy to get it done. But yeah, they're the closest on the track at the moment, along with Lucifer and Sanchez.
Yeah, two little battles going on. Folkesy with some great pace. Raffo had some good pace before the pit stops as well. Could Folkesy maybe want to get himself back past? I mean, Raffo with some fresh soft tyres, it's going to be difficult for him to do. H. Taylor as well into the pit lane.
Okay, that is another strange move there. I don't know why everyone's coming into the pits at the end. This could be lovely for Calum. Calum could find himself getting himself a race win. So strange that we're having cars coming into the pit lane late on.
Very, very strange indeed. I mean, you usually don't see pit stops in the sprint race unless your name's Charles Leclerc at Bahrain. But yeah, very, very strange. H. Taylor going to find himself plummeting towards the back of the grid, and is Calum Jones licking his lips? Maybe will he come into the pits himself? I mean, it wouldn't be completely out of the equation. But CDM up into P2 and half, finding himself in P3. So a weird turn of events to promote these guys. And Calum Jones, could we see 2 different race winners tonight?
Yeah, I mean, it looks like we're probably going to see 2 different race winners. With Folkesy all the way down in 11th. Calum Jones, it would be the first win for him as well in our F2 series. H. Taylor's come out all the way down in 6th position, so I mean, he's going to be quick on these soft tyres. But again, very strange move to come into the pits this late on.
Exactly that. I mean, he's going to be very quick, as you say, and have some lighter fuel, so going to be even quicker, but probably a little bit too late when it comes to try and to do anything major when it comes to the top 3. Probably lost a little bit too much time. But Calum Jones with a penalty. CDM not quite close enough to capitalise on it. Hard with a penalty as well. Could F1 Immortal try and start pushing, maybe close that gap down towards what is going to be a 6-second penalty. So F1 Immortal just needs to keep it clean for the next 3 laps or so, and he'll find himself on the podium.
Yeah, he will do. I mean, at the moment we've got Gio who's running in 6th position, but I'm guessing as it's his Ghost that's running, he'll probably drop off. Along with, there was another, who was it? I'm sure there was another car that was running around in Ghost as well. Is it Chris as well? Is it Chris Summer?
Chris.
Yeah, so I'm going to guess that both of their results will be wiped off, which will promote a couple of people up. So I think, is it 10 point scorers in this race?
I believe so. It's the same as Formula 1.
Yeah, so yeah, well, all 10 actual drivers will be scoring points today if those 2 are removed from the results.
Well, that would make sense. They jumped the start, and the AI was driving for the entire race, so it would make sense to disqualifying Lucifer on the back of Sanchez, the fight for P7, and it looks as though Folkesy is also on the back of Raffo, still giving him a little bit of a battle on lap 11 of 13. The sprint race coming towards a close. Not had the most action, it must be said, in terms of on-track battles, but still not going to disappoint when it comes to this, because Folkesy is on the back of Raffo, and these two have got some good pace and hopefully going to give us a nice little battle coming on here, because Folkesy well within the DRS and really got that toe hook onto the back of the gearbox of Raffo, and going to be wanting to get himself at the moment into the points. Maybe if the other 2 don't get disqualified, it could be vital that he gets himself into the points, because I mean, he won the race and now finds himself P11. How unpredictable is that?
Yeah, it's been a very strange turn of events. We saw Jim put it on pole, spin twice in the first race, claw it back to second, retires from this race, Folksy wins the first race, currently running in 11th position. Calum Jones finds himself in the lead after H. Taylor pitting late on in the race for some reason. Yes, it's been a strange Catalonia race.
It really, really has. Taylor now putting in the fast laps though. 28.5 as he finds himself getting past F1 Immortal on that particular lap, and already pulling 3 seconds. Maybe the softs were the way to go. We'll have to see. He's got 2 laps left, and if he can continue this pace forward, he's going to be on for a podium. As Hav has got that 6-second penalty, remember, but Calum Jones still leading the way up in front and probably looking good to take this race win so long as he can keep it clean. We've got Fosky on the back of Raffo looking to the inside. That was very late to pull out, but he's managed to get it stopped under the brakes into turn 2 and up into the provisional points, and maybe even higher up as the race finishes. Sanchez as well on the back of Gio with Lucifer all over the back of him, so it looks as though Gio is now finally starting to plummet towards the back of the grid, but maybe they won't even need to disqualify him if he's out of the points by the time the race ends.
Yeah, maybe not. I mean, I'm a little bit shocked with how the pace that Raffo's going at the moment. He's put the soft tyres on, and it looks like Folkesy's just had more pace than him, even on the harder tyres, which are 11 laps old now. So the soft tyres really aren't doing it for Raffo, which makes his pit stop even more stranger.
Exactly that. I mean, was looking good to go for a podium, but looks as though maybe the track temperature's a little bit too hot. But then again, Taylor was absolutely flying on his soft compound tyres, but Calum Jones now starting the final lap. So and that is half round. Actually, that is half round trying to go into the pits. Oh, what has happened there? He's now bottled it going into the pit. So H. Taylor cleanly up into the podium positions, and Harv managed to get it going. He got one more lap, and he's going to lose the place to F1 Immortal. Not quite to Sanchez. Maybe he's got a massive lack of momentum coming onto this straight, but looks as though he's just going to hang on and Lucifer in DRS. But weird mistake from Harv then coming off that corner and just completely went sideways into the pit entry.
Yeah, he got over that one so late on in the race, losing those positions. He was on potentially for a podium depending on where his penalty put him with Taylor, but now he finds himself down in 5th position, and his penalties are probably going to take him down to sort of 7th or 8th position. So not a great finish to the race here for Harv.
No, not at all. Only had 16 corners left to negotiate and find himself spinning, and Taylor finds himself back up into P3 from the lead of the race. Probably would have arrived and maybe just stick it out, but probably wanted to give it a bit of a show, maybe go for some overtakes, and finds himself P3, so still a great job. But nonetheless, Calum Jones and CDM now nearing the end of the lap and coming towards the final couple of corners into the chicane for the final time. They've done it for so long. 32 laps to be precise over the course of the feature and the sprint. Now coming through the final corner, turn 16 for the final time. Calum Jones has put itself where he needs to do, set the strategy very nice, and wins the sprint race of Catalonia. Very nicely done, and CDM going to follow him a couple of seconds later, as long as he doesn't pick himself up another 3-second penalty across the line in P2. Shouldn't matter though, as H. Taylor now going to come through turn 16 for the final time and gets a bit of redemption for this first race to finish in P3. F1 Immortal a few seconds later, he's got Harv all over the back of him. Did have some good pace, maybe one more lap. Harv could have got himself back into the top 4, but here he goes and crosses the line in P4 and 5. Sanchez as well may get himself into the top 5. He will, and so will Lucifer. Half down to P7. Fotsky up to P7 as well. Raffo up to P9. Couldn't quite jump half 4.5 seconds, so Fotsky still finishing P7. Still a great job and actually a position improvement, but yeah, not the best of races for the sprint race. Feature race definitely had a lot more action, but a very different race winner. Calum Jones taking the first win of the season.
Yeah, congratulations to Calum for doing that. He, again, like Folksy in the first race, he just kept his head down and drove a solid drive. And it was no fault of his own that H. Taylor pitted, and he gifted him the win. So, yeah, congratulations to Calum. That's a lovely finish for him. So, CDM as well, take note of him. He's had a good 2 races today. Podium position for here in the second race as well. And it's good to see Sanchez in 5th position as well. He usually does finish a little bit lower, so some good points for Sanchez there.
Yeah, exactly that, and well, just first off, hats off to Calum. Similar to Fotsky in the first race, just put himself where he needed to, didn't pit in the second race, and Sanchez taking driver of the day, very well deserved. But yeah, Calum Jones very similar to Fotsky, just made their own luck, did what they needed to do, got it to the end of the race, and then definitely made it pay off. So with the misfortune of the Tyrants at the front, it seems though these two were there ready to pick up the pieces. 2 new race winners in the Formula 2 series, and yeah, not more we can complain about there. Not the most action-packed like it was at Bahrain, but still a good couple of races with some nice racing on show.
Yeah, again, it's fair driving that have happened throughout both races. We've not seen anybody intentionally crash into anybody or make any rash moves. So, some good driving. There was a couple of wheel-to-wheel moments, but nothing of anyone's major fault. Just seeing as well that H. Taylor didn't realise you didn't need to pit. So yeah, he wasn't sure on the rules, which has cost him a win there. So he's definitely not going to make that mistake again, is he?
No, definitely not going to make that mistake again. And what? Still made a P3 finish out of it, so not bad at all. Yeah, me and Taylor didn't know we had to pit. Raffo, well, now they know for next time. Next time they're running an on course for a podium, they will know not to pit in the second race. It was actually a rule I wasn't too sure of until a few weeks ago. So you're not on your own there when it comes to that. But now you know for next time, learn from it and and improve.
Yeah, exactly. It's a learning curve for everybody, and I can guarantee neither of them will make the mistake again. But H. Taylor did pick up the fastest lap, so that's a little bit of saving grace for him there.
Yeah, an extra point added on to his 15 for P3, so going to take home 16 points. Nice little point hold to try and claw back at Jim, who didn't finish in the second race, so maybe it's a saving grace as we come to round 3 and going into round 4. Not too entirely sure how long the championship is, probably 12 rounds I'd imagine, similar to real life. I'll have to double
I think we
check
won in
that.
13 rounds because we ran Australia at the start as an extra, like an added bonus F2 race. So it'd be 13 rounds of the F2 season we're doing.
13 rounds, so still very much all to play for when it comes to the championship. And if Jim has any more races like this, could definitely cost him. But nonetheless, this has been the OBF1 Formula 2 round number 3 at Catalonia. 2 very nice races, 2 new race winners, and a lot of positives to take and a lot of negatives to take for the championship leader, who did not have the best of races. But nonetheless, I've been Zach, and this has been Mitch, and we'll catch you next time, guys. Goodbye.